Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Hard Claim with Viva Sam. I'm Sam, and this is a show where we talk to people who play Blood on the Clocktower and get their player perspective of the game. And joining us for this week's episode is Arif, who famously does not do podcasts.
Definitely don't do podcasts. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We appreciate it. All right, we've done our normal thing. We have a script loaded here. This is your script called "The Best Things in Life Are Three." Now Hibiki only script. You gotta love those. And you've drawn the psychopath token.
I mean, of course, I was always going to draw an evil token. I'm surprised I didn't get the demon token. To be fair,
Yeah. Well, summoner is an interesting thing here because maybe there's not even a demon token in the bag.
that's true. That's
But
very true.
you would learn at night one. You would learn. Let's see. You would learn that seat 10. No, sorry. Seat 9 is your other minion, and seat 10 is your demon.
All the way over there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. That's good to know.
Um.
So I do learn that there is another minion as well.
Mhm.
Interesting. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so with that said, if you and I were chatting day one, I guess basically the question becomes, how do you play Psychopath on day one before
Oh.
the time comes to start swinging?
Yeah,
Or I
I
guess
mean,
you could
I'm
start swinging right away if you really wanted to, but...
I'm an early psychopath in terms of I'd still wait. I'd give people a bit of due diligence. I wouldn't rush into it on the first day, but I would absolutely do it before nominations. I think hidden psychopath. I admire people that have the courage to wait and the ability to be patient. But I'm like the first chance I get, I'll be in there with an axe and I'll be trying to chop someone's head off. There is also like sometimes with the psychopath, there's also this like feels bad moment sometimes when you kill someone and they're just like, oh, I really wanted to play the game of Clocktower. But obviously, as death is not the end, I don't feel that much. To be fair,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
quite enjoy it. So yeah, I'd be swinging. I'd be trying to get hard claims off people. I'd be coy about my role, but I wouldn't be bothered about being in a double claim. So I might claim something like Village Idiot with an evil ping on someone. I might try and suggest that maybe my minion or my fellow minion or demon is in a potential evil ping or some sort of ping, just to throw people off. So then when people talk about it later on in the game, inevitably when it comes out that I'm evil, that there is some sort of ambiguity to that. But yeah, absolutely. Like I'd be trying to get a hard claim and then throwing an axe probably at you or someone else powerful.
Yeah. The thing I always love about that, too, is, this is a game of always evolving metas, especially if you play the same group over and over. So, I got to the point where I'd see over and over people like minions nominating their demons, especially if they're kind of, everybody thinks that the minion's evil. But then that comes around enough where people's like, oh, well, he's just nominating his own demon, so we should, in fact, be voting on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my favorite thing about that is like the Lord of Typhon. Like the meta, I feel like has gone. It's already come full circle in a way where originally it was like, oh, that's the Typhon line because they're all alive, and then it got to, oh, that's the Typhon line because all of those players died around that one specific player. So that player is probably the demon. And I feel like it's already come back around, which is quite nice. It's
Yeah.
it's yeah. I do like the metas, but yeah, with an axe, I mean, how can you not swing, Sam? How can you not?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Psychopath's good stuff. We used to ask about the psychopath a lot. We used to kind of ask, oh, which pick. Here's two characters. Which do you like better? And I had to stop putting psychopath because psychopath was always just an easy. Obviously, the psychopath.
Yeah, it's so much fun, isn't it? I mean, of the minions on this script, and there are some really fun ones, not to toot my own horn, but there are some really fun ones. I think Psychopath is the one that I would prefer to be the most. Wizard, I feel like there's so much pressure as the wizard to find a wish that's going to be fun to play as, that's going to be enjoyable overall for the group, but also going to be, beneficial or at least slightly more beneficial for your team than the other team.
Yeah,
I think there's been some fantastic. I've seen some fantastic wishes, but I think personally the psychopath is just much easier. Like you're probably not going to die, and you can be out at evil, and everyone loves being out at evil. It's just so much more fun.
yeah. And yeah, and it's basically its strength is, and this is why I would like. I don't think I've ever been the psychopath, but this is why I would like playing it just kind of straightforward. Is it's the whole thing is that it speeds up the game. It's less
Yeah.
executions that the good team gets, and that means less chances to get a demon. And it's kind of same thing. It's a faster witch sort of. I mean,
Yeah,
it's what witch does and characters
absolutely.
like that. Yeah.
You're getting rid of demon candidates as well for town, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's just as the psychopath, you're obviously trying to hit high information rolls early on, and then less likely demon candidates later on.
Hmm.
That's all you're trying to do, I guess. So that's probably how I try and navigate the game as the psychopath, or just kill people that I think deserve to be killed. Because that could also be quite a fun way to do it. Just make it memey, make it fun, and as long as people are having a good time, I think that's all you can ask for as an
Yeah.
out and even player.
Yeah. And Psychopath does have that flip side too, and I saw this a lot, especially early on when it was newer. Is that um, you don't even necessarily just want to kill high information roles, although those are good too. You want to kill people who are trusted and that nobody thinks is a demon. I've seen
Yeah,
games where the psychopath killed kind of the wrong people or killed too much, and then now you've narrowed down your demon candidates to your actual demon, and oops, and well now everybody has executed the demon because the psychopath narrowed it down for them. So um,
yeah.
yeah, it
It's
might it
the
might pay to be
worst
a
thing
little
for a
judicious about it too. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. That could be the worst feeling when it's like, oh, town are like, oh, thank you for killing that person,
right.
because now we only have one demon candidate. And you're like, oh no, that's terrible. But yeah, I mean, going back to something that you said a second ago, like, I didn't get to experience the psychopath as a when it came out as a new character. I'm trying to remember the order of release. Was Poppy Girl one of the later releases, or Balloonist maybe? I think that's when.
I believe Poppy Girl was an earlier one, but I could be wrong.
Okay, maybe yeah. I came into it maybe more when the last of the previous batch of characters was released, and for some reason I've got Bluetooth in my head. I've got Poppycore in my head as well, but still. So I didn't get to experience like a lot of these. So
Hmm.
when High Priestess came out and Banshee came out, and we had that almost like those months of play with those characters to really just enjoy ourselves with them, define what those metas are, and just play them to the nth degree. That was so much more enjoyable. I felt like it was almost like so overwhelming learning everything about Clocktower with all these experimental characters, and then bringing that to the next level was just so much nicer, just learning one by one. So yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd learned about the psychopath when it first came out and just enjoyed it from that sort of angle as well.
Characters like Psychopath are great for when a new character releases, and Al Hadikia is a great not sorry not Al Hadikia, Summoner is a no sorry you mentioned Lord of Typhon, that's one I had in my head.
Yeah,
Lord of Typhon is a character that really needs town not to know for sure if it's in play.
yeah,
So when it's a new character and it's probably always going to be in play for a while, Yagababble is the same way. It hurts a lot. Psychopath doesn't have that problem.
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, everybody's going to know if it's in play, so you can just kind of, well, yeah, this is a psychopath game, and we can make that obvious.
Yeah, and it's because it's a loud minion. I mean, on this script, that and the wizard are probably the louder minions. I know obviously summoner, like it's either a summoner game or it isn't, but I
Mhm.
think psychopath and wizard are the two that typically you'll find either loads of little breadcrumbs to, or one big loaf of bread to lead you to the if you could if you understand what I'm trying to say. Like the psychopath is so loud, especially
Yeah,
that it's so confirmatory straight away, and like people are already potentially on the back foot with it, or at least even building worlds with it. It's quite nice to be able to do that as well. So I think what psychopath for me really embodies the idea of death is not the end, because you're gonna get an axe to the head, fine, but you can still world build and problem solve with the rest of the team
mhm.
despite the fact that you're dead, and I think that's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, you mentioned around the time that you discovered the game. So, how did you discover Below on the Clock Tower, and about when was that? When was that?
Oh, good question. When was that? That's a really good question.
It's
So I started watching Blood on the Clock Tower videos through No Rules Barred. We spoke about this earlier, and I said there's going to be no cliche. Like so many other people, was brought into this through the NRB online games,
mhm.
watching them play a lot of the beginner scripts, not having a clue what was going on at the beginning. It feels so, even like now it feels like it's so overwhelming to new players for me potentially. So I went through NRB, we made a little server with a group of friends, started playing. I was storytelling the vast majority of the early games, which is a massive contrast to what I ended up starting doing with my YouTube channel. And yeah, it just grew and grew. My love for the game grew and grew. Um, that's pretty much it. I mean, I didn't really have any sort of deviation from that. I started consuming lots of Clocktower content from NRB. So I went to the official TPI games. I started watching Patters. I started watching what is now Grim Scenarios. Like there's so much great content out there that I just
Hmm.
started really consuming. Started listening to Blood on the Clock Tower podcasts, yours included. Like it all was just it was just there to consume and to learn about. And like one of my earliest memories actually of Blood on the Clock Tower is listening to, I think, is it the Andrew Nathanson
Hmm. Yeah.
Cult of the Clock Tower? I think
Yep.
it is. It's
Yep.
been a while since I've listened to it. I know it's not an active podcast anymore, but just learning about the different characters, and
Hmm.
especially because I was storytelling at that time, understanding the different interactions. I'll be honest, a lot of it went over my head at the time, and I still
Hmm.
still get confused about a couple of the different interactions. But it was just, it almost felt like a new language to learn, a new, like, this game. I've never really been a board game fan. I don't know if you can see, but that's the extent of my board games. There's like six, and two of them are code names. So like, even like just learning Blood on the Clock Tower, I felt like it was such a steep learning curve for me. But yeah, NRB was the gateway drug that really got me hooked on it.
Yeah. And so, when did you play your first game, and what was that game like, or what was your first several games like?
When did I play my? I remember the first game I story told. In that I didn't wake up the drunk Undertaker because I thought that's how the mechanic worked. When did I play? I must have been. It must have been around the same sort of time. Do you know what? It's one of those where I've played so many games of Clock Tower now, and I couldn't tell you what I played earlier today. It's that bad. Like there's so many games that float around your head.
Right.
But it would have been back in 2021, I think 2022 maybe is when I first started playing
Yeah.
regularly as well. But
Those
this is, I mean, I was going to say very very quickly, like this is the sort of game that just you just get fully sucked into, and like there are so many people like you and me that just play this game daily, twice a day, like so regularly. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say those Kickstarter characters were coming out throughout the year of 2021, and I know you say you were kind of on the tail end of that, so uh,
Yeah,
so that would probably be that timeline. Yeah.
it'll be when my server was built, because literally, like, we didn't know where to recruit people from, so we just thought, let's make our own group and invite people into it.
Hmm.
So yeah, we must have made that towards the latter end of 2021. And now I think we hit like 1,000 members very
Wow.
recently
Yeah.
and stuff as well. So yeah, that's been a nice little journey as well.
Yeah. It's great that Clock Tower really does a good job at creating communities. Just something about Final Three Con has a panel where they talked about the kind of like the social aspects of the game, and just something about getting together and lying to each other that
Yeah,
but within this like a specific, I don't know what the words I'm trying to use are, but like a specific
yeah.
construct where it's like a safe space to do so. And yeah, just it's just great at creating community. There's all kinds of pockets of community, some larger, some bigger. My Discord's not particularly large, but it is its own community. um you got yours. There's a bunch of others. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Because like, uh, uh, there are so many people from so many different backgrounds, walks of life, everything, and we all have this common interest, and we all sign this social contract to go and lie and deceive each other for the next hour and a half or whatever it is, and then we're all just able to. I imagine. I mean, I don't drink, but I imagine it as like, after a hard day's work, everyone's just like, right, let's go to the pub and have a beer afterwards. And it's like, it's that sort of camaraderie and that sort of like friendship group. I mean, I've made some ridiculously close friendships from this game. I've had people come and stay at my house. I've obviously stayed in at conventions and hotels, like like up until like 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning playing this game with a bunch of what would have been strangers like a year before, and it's just such a lovely, lovely experience, a lovely, lovely atmosphere. I wouldn't trade it for anything. This game is. I say it to everyone, but this game has absolutely changed my life, as I'm sure it has for you, as I'm sure it
Mhm.
has for everybody that plays it, pretty much.
I tell people that it's very telling that I've my interest has kept for this game for 5 years now without I'd say without waning, but really it's only ever increased since then.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then my next question was going to be, maybe you already kind of answered it, but what hooked you about this game that you keep coming back to it?
I mean, there's so much, right? The learning curve, so like learning about the different characters and the different interactions, the fact that no two game is the same, the people that play it. Like I typically play in like closed lobbies with relative, like mostly the group that I play with on stream. But also, I'll just jump into a public lobby, and I'll be surprised every single time at how lovely the people are in there as well. And it's like some of my favorite things to do in Clocktower now is just go and play with some newbies. And I'll jump into a public lobby full of new players. We're playing Trouble Brewing, and it's such a nice, mellow experience. And I
Hmm.
think they like everyone just seems to get it. Like with every community, there's always going to be the odd like one or two that maybe don't have the same sort of vibe, don't like maybe you don't vibe with them and everything. But on the whole, I feel like people just get Clock Tower and get that it's just a vibe. It's just a cool. At times, like no one wants to spend 2 hours doing something they don't like, right? Because
Right.
that's typically like games can go an hour and a half, 2 hours. No one wants to do that. Sorry, I feel like I've completely deviated from the question. I'll
That's
be
fine.
honest, the question has gone from my mind. But yeah,
So,
no one wants to do. No, I sometimes I ramble. I apologize.
well,
um,
it's what's the good thing about podcasts. You get to talk.
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think like no one wants to do something for 2 hours that they don't enjoy. So everyone is like everyone just gives each other that space typically, and I think that filters from the like the communities and the closed sessions into the open sessions, and people just get it. People end up just understanding that look, we're in an online space. You can say anything at any time, but just let other people talk as well. So I think that aspect of it as well, I just seem to love. The community is the best. It's literally the best.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about that psychopath ability again. We talked about how death is not the end, and how many games can you just solely decide, okay, you die and you don't have your ability anymore, and then that's it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that goes to the game design where that's okay in the context of the game, and people can still have fun, after the fact. Especially since
yeah.
most cases, if you're getting killed by a psychopath, you're probably good, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're basically confirmed,
Yeah.
especially on this script. You're pretty much confirmed. So, yeah, absolutely.
How much have you gotten to play in person versus online?
So, I mean, I play online a lot more than I play in person. There's a local group near me that I don't get to go to as often as I'd like to, but they're based in Manchester. So I'm based in Manchester here in the UK. There's a group that play once a month that's run by Claire from TPI and Daniel. Sorry, that wasn't like Claire from TPI. I said official TPI thing, but Claire, because Claire's from the local area as well.
Mhm.
Her and Daniel and Jacob like basically run the Manchester games that I try and get to. Apart from that, I've played a couple of times here in the UK at other events, but I don't really get the time to. I've got two small children, so I can't really be like, all right, here you go. Like I can't say to my wife, you look after the kids for the next like 4 hours.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going out to do my own thing. I can't do that every single weekend. So yeah, I don't get to do that often, but I do get to go to like some conventions here in the UK, mainly Good Leech Con, so the one that Patters runs.
Hmm.
So I've been to that for the past two GLCs. They were really fun. We just went to one a couple of weeks ago. That was really good. That's yeah, it's just bizarre and insane that there's so many opportunities for in person. And I really wish I could. Like I'm so jealous I can't come to Final Three Con. It's unfortunately so too far away. Like any of the ones
Yeah.
in like Australia as well. I wish I could go to them because there's so many cool people that I don't know if I'll ever get to meet in person.
Yeah.
because of this game. Not won't get to meet them because of this game. Won't get to meet them because they're so far away. Obviously, I would love to meet them because of this game. Um, so yeah, I don't get to play as often. I'd probably say like 95% online and then 5% in person.
Yeah, that is one of the big advantages of playing online, of course, is the being able to get people together and organize it. I'm always blown away. I get people who play in my game. My games for our time, which is Eastern time in the U.S., is 9 o'clock at night, and we go to about 1 to 1:30 in the morning. Currently, I have two regulars from the UK who play, which means that they're no, sorry, three regulars. Um, which means they're staying up till about 6 a.m. to play play in my
Yeah,
games.
yeah, yeah.
And then I have one regular currently from Australia who the time's not so crazy, but just that whole idea of just having people from all around the world being able to organize that online. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's beautiful though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Like I'm planning to go on holiday soon, and one of the first things I've done with where I'm planning to go is I've messaged a local Blood on the Clocktower group from that area, and I'm like, "Hey, can I come and play with you?" And it's such a wonderful thing where they're just like, "Yeah, absolutely, come and play with us. We play on this day at this place. Like, come down, it'll be great." That's like what other community can you really say that there are regular games pretty much anywhere in the world that you can just rock up to,
yeah.
not know anyone, like, and just enjoy the games with them? Like, there's not many. There really isn't.
I've seen Ed talk about that before, where he knows that anywhere he goes, he could just find somebody on Discord and be like, "Hey, when's your where's your in person games?" and just kind of rock
Mm.
up to them. Even my local group, we had our I have games based in Lexington, Kentucky, and we only do monthly. But if you kind of expand out to about 2 hour, or about hour and a half, 2 hour drive, we were kind of noting that over the course of June, this is June 1st when we're recording this to date it a little bit, but um, basically every weekend in June there's an opportunity to play Clocktower in somewhere in the region. And it's not that big of a region. I guess up in Cincinnati it's a little bit bigger, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's just it was a big change for our area because we don't live in a big populated area. And yeah, there's Clock Tower available, so it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, 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 yeah. This is it. Like, it's such a beautiful thing. I think we've got a calendar here in the UK that Tom R runs, and he looks after. And you can just like I did this, like, there was a couple of weeks in September last year where I was pretty free on the weekends, and I was able to go and just like explore the area. And I had a look at the calendar. I was like, right, there's games in Doncaster on this day, and I went down and I met the owners of an amazing board game cafe there, and played Clocktower with them. And then it was like, oh, there's games in Halifax on this day, and I went down and I met the people there, and I played games, and it was literally just like, oh, I can just fill my weekends with Clocktower when I'm available, and it's such a beautiful thing. And playing with people I've never played with before, or meeting people for the first time that
Hmm.
I'd played with, and I didn't realize that they were going to that event. Such a wonderful experience. Such a wonderful experience. So yeah, look, online play is great. We both try and do it as much as possible. It is fantastic. In person is so good. It's I would I would I would I would hesitate to say it's probably the more pure experience of Clock Tower, but also just the community aspect makes it just a 10 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, like I said, I ran games
If online
yesterday.
play is like a 9.8, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I say it often that playing this online, running it online, being it by far my favorite game of all time, and then in person's even better. Ran my first game I ran yesterday was a 10 player Trouble Brewing, and it was like the closest game I'd seen in a very long time. Like,
Hmm.
which is saying a lot because a lot of games end up being pretty close, but it was one of those things where it came down to three of the evil were sitting in a row, and a player or two players after that was who was kind of the frame, and evil didn't they didn't really coordinate, so they all threw their hands up kind of like at the last minute, and
Hmm.
it kind of made it obvious who the demon was.
Uh-huh.
So there were six good votes left, and all six needed to coordinate to vote on the demon, and they were able to do it, and that was like just the game came down to just that moment. Then another
Yeah,
game, it came down to two evil alive and one good alive. And long story short, if they had about an extra 20 more seconds, they would have worked out that the monk, the claimed monk, is actually the demon who sunk a kill, and they would have not. But the good player had already nominated the minion, and if there was just 20 seconds more, they would have nominated the demon instead. And those moments can definitely happen online, but they just seem like they hit a little different, like in person.
yeah. The grim reveal in person when you find out if you've won or lost after all of that battling to and fro and the laughs and everything. It's just like nothing beats it. That crescendo, like when you've Slayer shot the demon, for example, or like little moments like that in person are just so much more fun. Online play is a great substitute, and I think TPI have done a really good job at making it very similar. But like obviously the game is an in-person game, isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
curious to know as well, Sam. Do you play a lot of other like board games and stuff as well? I assume you do. There's a couple of, I think you've mentioned it a couple of times that
Um,
you played a couple of legacy games and things like that.
So the problem, I don't think I've actually played through a legacy game that I can think of.
Oh,
The problem, I have a little bit of a collection, not a huge collection, but the problem is I don't really know a lot of people who play board games. Like even for Clocktower, I have to drive about 40 minutes to get to where I do my in-person Clocktower.
sure.
So my friends will play sometimes, but it also means that my collection skews a lot more towards casual games, which not that there's anything wrong with those. A lot of them are a ton of fun. I have had success lately. So if you've been in any servers where they talk about Final 3 Con, the
Mm.
gang was very popular.
I bought the gang because of GLC. We played it and I bought it, and it's still wrapped. I don't have anyone to play it with. I'm the same as you, Sam. I don't have like my friends don't play board games. We
Yeah.
played video games growing up and stuff. But I was gonna ask, like, has Clock Tower, because it I feel like if I was into board games and then I played Blood on the Clock Tower, has Blood on the Clock Tower ruined other board games for you?
I wouldn't say that's ruined other board games. It has lessened my interest in it a lot because I spend so
Yeah.
much time thinking and about Clock Tower and talking about Clock Tower that I'm not spending time thinking about what board games that maybe I can convince my friends to play. uh, Also, money is a factor too, and I feel like at this point I have pretty much all the games that I would reasonably play. I mean, right now I have tons of games anyway that just, I mean, they're literally collecting dust. So
Mhm.
it has ruined for me games like Werewolf and Mafia.
Yeah,
Because,
of course. Of
but I still enjoy like One Night Ultimate Werewolf, which is werewolf, but it's not werewolf really, just a
Sure.
theme.
Yeah.
And I played Unfathomable with my friends a while back. That was pretty fun. So I do still like other board games. I do play them every now and then when I get a chance. Even some social deduction games, ones that aren't like Clock Tower really. But it has lessened my
I feel
interest
like
in
with
them
other
quite a bit.
ones, yeah, I feel like with other ones they have to be short and snappy for it to get my, like whenever I go to GLC, Mia, if you know Mia, Mia will always say to me, "Oh, let's play. You're playing this board game with me," and I'm like, I have no interest in whatever this board game is. Like, there's Iberian Gauge. Mia, if you're watching, Iberian Gauge. I, I don't know what it is, and it's like there's loads of like little trinkets and little bits, and like I'm just like I have no interest in this. I just want to play Clock Tower.
Nina says we're making her sad. She
Oh,
still
I'm sorry, Nita.
she
I
loves
mean, other board games are great.
if you ever seen her, I mean, her house is just like full of board games, like shelves everywhere. So yeah, her and her husband play a lot. I know a lot of like all kinds of board games, heavier ones too.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
What I will say is I'll go to Final 3 Con and or my local Lexicon that we go to, which Lexicon obviously it's just a more general board game
Mhm.
convention, but we have I missed it this year because I was at Final 3 Con instead. But anyway, all that to say is that they have board game libraries, both Final 3 Con, both my local con.
Mm.
They don't get touched by me. Like I want to play games, but I'm like, but there's Clock Tower.
Yeah, this is it.
So
If there's a choice, yeah, it's probably going to be Clocked Out. And that's not to look. That's not to say anything negative about other board games and playing other board games and stuff. It's just like for me, Blood on the Clock Tower is just absolutely tickled my fancy, and it's like the most like it's the game that I obviously like now I make content for the game, so it's not like for me like that's how I justify it to my wife. I'm just like, oh, but I'm also making like something that I can watch back and that my kids can watch back and people seem to enjoy. So it's like, all right, she's like, all right, you can play it then. So like, you know what I mean? So like for me, it's that balance of like I've already gone through the learning curve of it. It's a really enjoyable game, and I can also justify playing it now as well.
Part of the thing for me is actually a time thing. You kind of mentioned this before, but it actually isn't true that I play this game a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, usually the only time I'm doing Clocktower is on my streams on Fridays, actually,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
for
but
for the
that's
most
still
part.
like that's like the usually the only time I'm playing Clock Tower is on my streams, and like occasionally I might get like another game. Like I said, like having two small kids means that the time that I can play is very limited. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's either like during the day if I get some free time, or in the evening after they've gone to bed. And even then, I'm just like usually I'm just like I'm too tired. It's a big commitment. But yeah, I think it's about finding that balance. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
even then, once a week playing a game is 52 times a year, Sam.
That's true. Yeah.
It's
Plus, I have my
52
in-person
times a year.
game, so that's an extra 12 times. So
And also, you're not just playing one game. You said you play multiple games. So
yeah, that is true. I usually, I guess, I think about more about sessions, and
yeah,
we've gotten to a point where I've tried to get my games. And we run big games on my stream. We very often have 15 plus player games. And 90 minutes is what I've started setting aside for my games. So it's 3 minutes.
that's hard, you know.
Uh, you say that, but I don't know. I've run my game snappy, and to me, it's just normal now. And I regularly get 3 games in my at least 3 games. Sometimes they end early, so we'll actually get like a fourth one in about 4.5 hours.
Nice. I
Yeah,
try and limit mine to 12 players for 90-minute games, but like just because like I feel like I'm gonna end up rushing, and I'm gonna end up either if I'm storytelling making a mistake or putting too much pressure on the storyteller if I'm doing a player perspective. So it can be tough like to keep to that. If it's anything more than 12 players, I'll typically throw like travelers in. But yeah, I mean we're very lucky to just have such amazing groups that want to play Clock Tower with us, right? And
yeah, yeah.
it's just 90 minutes almost feels like it's never enough sometimes as well. Even though I'm the same as you, I try and keep my games to 90 minutes as well.
Yeah, it's I've talked about this a lot on here before, and if you ever see me on Discord, very often and very many different places. But for example, I ran my 10-player Trouble Brewing in person yesterday, and I kept the private discussion time to 3 minutes.
Hmm.
And I do basically about the same online. I give like if I have 15 players, I'll do 5 minutes. I think once I get down about like maybe 12ish, 13, 12, I'll start doing 4 minutes, 3 minutes for so yeah, I just run snappy. It's the I'm of the strong opinion that most people run the game with way too much time, usually a significant amount
Guilty.
of extra time.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
get it, and
Absolutely.
it's harder too when you're doing it for content. I realize that's a
Yeah.
thing too. I this is just for I'm not judging other streams. I have the personal philosophy of trying to run my games as much as close to the in-person game as possible. That's why I use night cards. I
Hmm.
don't normally do private chats during the night. I know it's the stream thing to do, but I don't know. That's just me, and it works for my group. So yeah,
Yeah.
no,
I guess it's an entertainment thing, exactly. As
yeah,
long as
yeah,
your group are fine with it, and as long as like it, I mean, night cards makes it so much quicker
yeah.
that it
That,
almost. But
that's part of the
then,
trick too. Yeah.
yeah, you end up losing that nuance and stuff. So like, I ran a game earlier that I don't know when's this video coming out, because my videos are like 2 months in the past. So I don't want to spoil anything for it.
um, Nina might be able to. It might be next. Yeah. So we try to record ahead of time. We are not ahead right now, so it'll be
Okay,
literally a week from today.
fine. Then this is gonna come out. My video is gonna come out in like 8 weeks after that. So hopefully by then people will have watched this and forgotten, and it's fine. But I literally had an organ grinder, and I had Jess as the organ grinder and Marcus as the night watchmen, and they both were just, like, I woke them both up each night, despite the fact that both of them had already told me at the beginning of the game what they were going to do. So Jess had said, "I'm never going to be drunk. I don't understand why I would ever be drunk. So you literally, like, you could do due diligence, but I'm never going to be drunk." And then Marcus was like, "I'm going to use it in Final Three." And that was it. And it's like, you can wake me up every night, and I'm going to, but it doesn't really matter. I'm going to use it in Final Three. But I still went through the motions of it. We still had a lovely little, like, 30-second chat each night. And obviously, look, the byproduct of that is it just makes the game a little bit longer. But it's fun as well, isn't it? It's like, but
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anyone for using the night cards. I think there's also so much fun content that comes out of the chats during the day as
Hmm.
well. And that's with everyone. So I think, yeah, each to their own, absolutely.
Yeah, and one of my other favorite examples we had on here of somebody who has a different philosophy from mine, but like it really makes sense for their group was Theo from Gallant Goblin, who,
Hmm.
I mentioned that especially in person, you normally shouldn't want people going off into entirely separate rooms. You kind of want people close to the circle.
Yeah.
But something that he brought up for his group is that they're like a lot of professional entertainers, and for them, the game is half an excuse to have fun and joke, and half their
Yeah,
conversations
absolutely.
aren't even game related. So, for them, what works for them is that they're just goofing off half the game, and they don't care if their game lasts 3 hours because they're half there for the game and then half there for socializing. Like, oh yeah, I mean that totally makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, it gives people an excuse, doesn't it, to just have fun, claim whatever, and just catch up with people as well. And that's a
yeah, yeah.
beautiful thing. Um, Before, like earlier, you asked me about some of my earliest experiences with Clock Tower,
Hmm.
and I thought about this earlier. Actually, I thought about this because I've watched the show. Sam, spoilers. I've watched the show. I knew you were going to ask me about something like that, and I remember now. I wanted to shout out someone that you play with quite a lot. I don't know if she plays with you as often anymore, but Taylor,
Oh yeah.
Taylor from your streams. So way back in the day when I first started playing Clock Tower, I appeared on I think it was Hella's stream a long, long time ago. Um, and I remember playing, like, it was my first game of BMR. I was really nervous. Taylor, I think, was the assassin in that game, and I was the tea lady. But she was still, like, so lovely to me, and, like, just, like, helping me understand what my character does. Didn't just stab me afterwards, which I really appreciate. Um, and yeah, was just like the kindest person to me. So, like, absolutely massive shout out to Taylor. And I
we
also,
love
like,
Taylor.
Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And then your like, I remember you, Sam, from questions I've ever had in the official Patreon server, where I'm sure even at that time, like, I was asking questions in there, and your name used to pop up, and you were, like, so diligent with your questions and so, like, understanding and caring. Because, like, look, there are so many interactions in this game, and some people, I'm sure, can get tired of answering the same questions over and over. You were so, like, patient with people with all your answers and stuff as well. So,
I
like,
try.
two of the earliest memories that I wanted to bring up, because obviously I got to speak to you in person, and obviously you play a lot with Taylor as well. So yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, we love Taylor. Unfortunately, she's not usually available on Fridays to play my games. She does run games for anybody watching this on my Discord. She does run games regularly on Wednesday nights. They're not streamed or anything, but they are available. I'm not available on Wednesday nights because I watch wrestling.
Yeah,
But yeah, and we also got to meet her in person at a Final Three Con, and that was amazing. And
nice.
me, her, and a bunch of other people we'd never met before played the gang from Sunday night / Monday morning from midnight to 5 a.m. So
Jesus, yeah, that makes sense. Yep. From everything I've heard and played about the gang, that doesn't surprise me at all.
yeah,
So
um, yeah, I appreciate hearing that. Me answering questions has helped people. Some people, I don't know how to word this without sounding some kind of way. Not everybody appreciates all my answers, I guess. But
yeah,
I try my best. It was really lovely when I went to Final Three Con. Then it was called Clocktower Con 2 years ago, and just having people coming up to me and like thanking me and like, I don't know. It really makes me happy to have found that kind of spot in the community, I guess, to kind
yeah,
of help people. And then I try to tell people too is like, I can give you what I think is best practices. It is best practice that your games run quick and that you should keep your players close to the circle. If your group wants to do something differently, if it works for them, great. That's still not going to be the best practice, but maybe that does work for your group. I can't tell you what works for your group. I can just tell you what works best normally. I can tell you how these characters normally interact. If you want to rule it otherwise, okay, fine. I don't know. I know it's the way I come across sometimes because I'm pretty straightforward, but sometimes some people just like, no, I don't like how you're answering this.
I mean, so look, there's a phrase that always sticks with me, like a quote that always sticks with me like that. It's like, you can be the sweetest, ripest, juiciest peach in the world. Some people just don't like peaches, right? And like, you're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. Like, we make content, right? So
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
even from like a content perspective, like not everyone's going to like the content we make, but that's okay. It just it is what it is. Some people are just not going to like the answers that you give or the way that you deliver it or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter because there's so many people that do, so many people that appreciate the answers that you're giving, so many people that like appreciate the fact that you're like I said, diligent and ready to answer like any and all questions with like a pretty caring way. Like, it's not like that being direct doesn't mean that you're being like rude or anything like that at all. I think it's nice having people like yourself in the community that are just, because this game is hard. This game can be complicated. Like I
Yeah.
said to you earlier, I had to check with Mia earlier today about the how the lunatic and the Oho works,
Hmm.
because
Common
I
question.
just
Yeah.
forgot how it works. Yeah, exactly. I just completely forgot. I was like, well, do they learn the character or the player? And it's like it just is what it is. Like, this game is hard, so having people that just know all of that off the bat, I think that's what the community needs, right? We need it.
Yeah. Yeah. A big complex game. Yeah, I guess there's a whole lot to be said about how the rules work and the consistencies and inconsistencies, but yeah, that's a whole thing by itself. I did think of a topic that I've never asked anybody yet because it's still. So I tried I tried an experiment recently. I kind of call it an experiment. Um, and I talked to a lot of people on Discord about this ahead of time, and a lot of people did not like this.
Ooh, okay, controversial one.
All
Let's
right,
hear it.
so if you read the rule book, when you do a nomination, the way a nomination works is, say you nominate somebody, and then the person nominated gets about 30 seconds to defend themselves. Nowhere in there is there an accusation. Um,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
so I played at Final 3 Con, and I played it in a game. It was a 40-player BMR game with John G. John G is a really old school storyteller. He, as Ed said in the panel, John G is the reason Puka works. Because those rules had to be changed. He was the rules inquisitor, and he ran this 40-player BMR game this way. He said, if you want to nominate somebody, you'll need to say why you're nominating them before you nominate them. That is how the game was designed.
40-player BMR game.
Yeah.
Okay. We're just gonna gloss over that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fine. Okay,
it was a 40-player
yeah,
BMR game. It was a thing. I was the assassin.
I mean, coming from GLC where Ed ran a 73-player whale buffet, we're still in the shallow pool right now. That's fine. Okay, cool.
Totally normal stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, but the important part is that he continues, and other old school storytellers. And I'm not about the people who ran games in like the 2010s and learned directly from like Stephen Medway and TPI. Yeah, they read nominations where once you nominate somebody, it's assumed that you've already talked about why the nomination is happening. So then it goes directly to the defense, and they get to defend themselves in the vote runs. I talked to a lot of people about this, and a lot of people find this very controversial. But maybe it'd be an interesting thing to talk about. I did try this. I tried this for a couple weeks on stream. The first week was weird because my power went out an hour in. So
okay, not because of the nominations, right?
No, yeah. My power went out, so somebody else was able to step in for ST, and then they ran some. It wasn't streamed, but they continued to run games. But they kept it up. They did that, and they got to still experience it. And then I did it again the next week. I'd say I feel like the overall experience with most people were neutral. They're like, I don't like it better than accusation defense. I don't think it's worse. Some people kind of liked it, and then a few people were like, I don't really like it. So because I consider it to be a net negative, I stopped doing it. But yeah, I don't know. that's a something to ask about from a player perspective, I guess.
Yeah, I think look, we talk about Clocktower in terms. I think something like that could work better in person.
I got that response a lot, and it's probably true, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah, just because online, like sometimes it can be like herding cats with, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Even with groups, like I typically say that groups on stream know that they're making content, so they're better at like giving people space to do bits, giving people space to do like fun things as well. So even in like bigger games on like in stream, I sometimes think that your voice can be lost amongst some of the bigger personalities. I think nominations, the way they run currently, just gives you a second to breathe, compose yourself, and give the overall accusation. I think I'd be sad to see nominations go, but then if we're doing it in person, that's quite nice because you can have more of a discord and more of a discourse. Sorry, not discord, more of a discourse, more of a conversation with other people where interruptions are more natural. And so, therefore, if a nomination has happened, it's because you've already discussed it as a group, especially in a smaller group. You've already discussed it as a group, and then a nomination can happen that way, and then you don't necessarily need an accusation. In Final Three, what do we typically see, Sam? We typically see that nominations happen, and then we're like, "Tell us why," and then the nominator is just like, "Oh, for all the reasons we've just discussed." So I feel like later on in the game, especially, it it's more likely to go that way to the way that you've experimented with. But early game, I think it's like a lot of the time people will nominate people just for fun or for their own selfish reasons. I played a Riot game earlier where I was barber swapped into Riot, and there was a town crier on the script. So I nominated, knowing that the town crier would have got a yes the day before when I had nominated, and then a no today when only I had nominated and my minions hadn't at that point. And it was just one of those things where it was like it nominating at that point, giving a nice little accusation just as a joke was quite a fun thing to do, and then I could hide my actual reasons for nominating. Whereas I feel like me nominating there generally and not giving a prosecution would have felt really weird. Like everyone would have been like, obviously if everyone would be doing it, but I feel like the nomination came out of nowhere. It was just a complete meme nomination, but covered up the fact that I was actually just Riot at that point. So yeah, I think it's an interesting premise.
So one of the things I always like to clarify from my end, and apparently not everybody still feels the same way, but I started calling it a instead of saying a defense only nomination, I started calling it a defense focused nomination. Because what I want to try to clarify with people, because again, I tend to run a lot of big games. I can only run big games if my group is good about limiting how much you're over talking, respecting hands,
Yeah,
and my group,
absolutely.
at the risk of sounding somewhat arrogant, I believe is really good about that. Maybe some of the best I've ever seen, because I feel like other groups have told me they do not do this well. um, so if you're doing accusation defense, you can raise your hand,
Mm-hmm.
you do your nomination, you do your accusation, do defense. If you're doing it this other way, you can raise your hand, you can give an accusation, then you nominate, then you get a defense.
Okay.
So in theory, it could still work the same way. You're just swapping it. I feel like there's a complex web of that. It's probably going to be hard to articulate in our last like 15 minutes, but or maybe in an entire podcast. I don't know. But
Yeah.
you mentioned that final three thing, and I do have a lot of nominations where people talk about why they're going to nominate somebody, the whole group or an individual, and then somebody, okay, I'll nominate so and so. I said, okay, well, tell us why. And they or anything else you want to add, and they say no, just, and then they'll repeat like everything that's already been said.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay, we could have done without that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then it also focuses on the defense, which is really important for I think a nomination.
Mm-hmm.
To make sure, I don't know. Like again, it's hard
I like it.
to articulate everything. It focuses on the defense, and then one other thing is that we do see a lot of nominations. You probably see this. I think everywhere does this. That the accusation ends up being well, for reasons. There's an evil ping, and then the
Hmm.
defender goes, okay, well, I don't know how to defend against that, and then people are just kind of voting on nothing.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Vote fatigue is like the bane of my existence, both as a player and storyteller. Like we, I keep talking about this game. It's the one that was the most in recent memory. But the demon was nominated on the first day. It was an organ grinder game, and there was a wizard, and the wizard had a wish where, like, if someone doesn't respect the double gong, then something bad might happen to them. So that player, the one player, go ahead, Sam.
real quick, is it double gong or double dong? Because we had this discussion
I
recently.
I mean, it depends if you want to bleep it out. It's a double gong, but NRB called it the double dong, and therefore it's probably the double dong. But I try and keep things at least a little bit PG and just go with double gong. But obviously, there's the ambiguity there as well when you say it quickly, right? But for let's just say double gong for now, and Nina can edit it in post.
She
Um,
won't.
the wizard wish was, if anyone doesn't respect the double gong, something bad might happen to them. So the chef, Tom was the chef. Tom, on purpose, decided to stay in a private chat outside at the time after the double gong went off, and then came back because I made an announcement at the start of the day, making a very obvious clue to what the wizard wish. I was like, come back on time, don't be tardy. And so the organ grinder vote was happening, but regardless of what was going to happen, I was going to kill Tom. I was just going to kill Tom at the end of the day. He was going to be executed. But it just so happened that the demon had the most votes on them. And obviously, that ended up saving the demon. But it was vote fatigue. There were like 8 votes that day. 8 nominations that day, sorry. And then like vote fatigue happened. And they were just like, oh, we got to kill someone. And so they got 7 votes on the demon. And thankfully, I'd already decided, no matter what, I was going to kill Tom here. But it was like, I was like, this is a horrible way. This could have been a horrible way to end the game. Like, and it happens so often, right? It happens so often.
Yeah.
Just going back to what you said on the nominations, so having the discussion, then the nomination, then the defense, having a more defense focused in that way, that could work because then you could have people jumping in and saying, actually, no, we probably don't want to do this right now. We probably want to wait, or let's have you considered this information as well. And it almost gets it away from, because the worst thing that can happen is you'll nominate someone and the person nominating doesn't have the articulation because they don't have the information yet
Yeah.
as to why this is actually a really good kill or a really bad kill. And so having that discussion first prevents that a little bit sometimes as well, but also it can muddy the water. So yeah, I think doing it that way is better, but getting rid of the prosecution altogether. I know that's not what you were discussing, but getting rid of the prosecution, I don't think I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah, and I could say for myself, I did get to play. So that week that my power went out, it finally came back, and I got to play in like the final game for that session. And the ST still ran it that way because that's what I had intended for that. For
Hmm.
me, I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, this would mean I would never nominate because I would never get to say my piece." Even though, again, in my opinion, they still could if they wanted to. But people feel how they feel, and that's valid. For me, it made it easier to nominate because I didn't have to spend that time in a spotlight. We'd already talked about it. Everybody knew why the nomination was happening. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I guess my summation would be that it forces the players to be more thoughtful about their nominations, which I
Hmm.
think is important in a meta, or can be important in a meta where people are used to hoarding information. This is a whole other kick I've been on, where people should be more open about their information, and
Yeah. Oh,
it's
it
not it's
benefits the good team. That's all it does.
yeah,
It
yeah.
just benefits, like sharing info helps you solve the game. Like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. If nothing else, hopefully maybe this just helps people think about things a little bit differently, even if they don't change anything. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fun topic to talk about, though.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's something different as well, something that I haven't really considered, to be fair. I know you mentioned it a second ago, but like the sharing of information thing, like I'd love to talk about that for a little bit
Yeah,
because
yeah, go ahead,
because
because I love this
I
topic.
do feel like some of the worst things that can happen in a game of Clock Tower is making people feel like they're not involved, regardless of whether they're good or evil. And I think like my group is fantastic at this. I'm sure yours is the same. not making people feel like they're not welcome. But that can be like the worst thing. Like not welcome is a strong way of putting it, but shutting people out because they're evil, like not having discussions with them,
Yeah.
like yeah,
Well,
that's the worst feeling.
so on that note, we did run a whale bucket yesterday, and one of our players, Dave B, he was a minion, and he wanted to be the vizier.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's like leave it to him to be the vizier in a whale buffet, and just volunteer to be out at evil. But but yeah, we do have a group where people will still include them, still talk to them. Um, Unfortunately for him, somebody else in our group also wanted to be the preacher.
No, no. Oh no.
But
Well,
that's a
what
whole
can you
other
do?
thing. But yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been in multiple spaces. Well, I say multiple, two spaces recently where they have a stream, and I think maybe I think you and I share one of these spaces where there was a big long discussion about making sure you're including everybody.
Yeah.
And the theme I saw in both of those was that, and nobody was doing this intentionally, obviously, but big theme is that people just kind of start trusting one another in small pockets, and it ends up
Yeah.
excluding others who don't know anything that's going on. It made me realize that if I get, I very often get to a final three as a good player, and then tons of information start coming out at once. I can't
Yeah.
process it.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
overload, isn't it? It's way too much. It's way
yeah.
too in that scenario, like it's inevitable that that does happen. Unfortunately, when that happens, I'll usually sit back and just let other people solve and go with other people solve if I haven't got one of my own at that point, because I just think like it sucks to be me in this scenario. I'm just gonna be your vessel for nominating, and that's it. Like,
Yeah. A lot of times what I end up doing is I just end up never using my dead vote because I'm too indecisive on what to put it
yeah,
on.
I used to be like that. It is tough. Like I've started to, I say started to, like I've been doing it a lot more regularly where I use my dead vote earlier sooner rather than later, because like I'd rather go after someone that I'm more confident is evil than as part of the good team, of course. As part of the evil team, I'll hold on to that shit. I'm holding on to that shit until the end,
I,
until I need it.
Yeah, I've seen multiple not a ton of games. I've seen multiple games won because somebody used their dead vote at just the right
Yeah,
moment, like
yeah.
with like 5-7 alive, and they were
You gotta
really
stand by your
confident. And,
convictions, right? You gotta stand by them. That's the way I think about it. But yeah, going back to the earlier point, just on making people feel included and inclusive as well. I think sometimes like one of the things that I've implemented with my group is the with the wizard specifically is if I'm storytelling a game, and I think it's the same if anyone else is storytelling a game on my server now, especially in the stream group, is if you make a wish that I feel even one player in the circle will not enjoy, I'm just gonna reject the wish because, I think I'm not sure who says it. I know a lot of people discuss it and mention it as well. I've heard Emma say it. I've heard Milk say it. I've heard Ed say it. But I think this game is it's obviously it's nice to win this game, but winning is not the most important thing. The most important thing is I've butchered the quote. I don't know what the quote is, but the most important thing is the community aspect, is the friendship aspect. Like being hoodwinked and being taken for a ride by an evil player is just as fun
hmm
as in a different way, of course, but it's just as fun as winning a game as a good player and being the one solving things. Um, I don't know if you've ever have you ever played with Arwell? Have you ever had the pleasure of playing with Arwell?
um, I don't think so. If I have, it would have been like a one-off.
Sure, Arwell, like Patters is the same. Patters is absolutely the same, but Arwell and players like that are just very good at absolutely hoodwinking you just for no benefit at all. I was sat next to Arwell in a game, and he convinced me that he was the demon and I was the marionette, and that someone else was the Serenovus, and then that player came out as being Serenovus mad. And then we were just like, "Oh, why has that happened?" And then Arwell was like, "Oh yeah, he just made himself mad today, just to obfuscate it a little bit." And then it eventually came out that they were just Serenovus mad. They were just Serenovus mad, and Arwell had just been lying. And Arwell was actually part of the good team, and so was I. And he told me before Final Three, and it was just to no personal gain at all. But it was just the most fun and ridiculous thing in the world, and it's just that sort of aspect. Like you can't replicate that in anything else apart from in games like this, where people just have that trust element and just have that fun element, and it is just bonkers and ridiculous as well. So yeah, yeah, I think having fun in this game is the most important thing
Yeah.
over wins and losses. Like that's why one of the things. Sorry, Sam, I'm just going off on
Go
tangents
ahead. Go
here.
ahead.
One of the things that I really didn't like when they implemented it, and I know there was a lot of backlash and stuff, and I know they've changed it. I understand why they added it, but still, are the stats.
Mm.
So the stats for like wins and losses and things like that, I just
Yeah.
wasn't a big fan of that when it first came up. Now I like them the way they're set up now, where you can hide all your stats if you want to, and then you can see your most used characters and stuff like that. And then the wins and losses are a side product of it all, and you can see them
Yeah.
if you want to, but you don't have to share them. But like I feel like in a game where inherently a lot of this stuff is out of your control, it's run by a storyteller who is more often than not, in my case as well, and in your case, like making it for content. It's for content. It's for enjoyment. Like some of the decisions that we make, especially some of the decisions that I make, I wouldn't recommend other storytellers making. You do it with a closed group of good friends that understand that you're gonna make the Amni ability. You don't get to pick your minions in a Kazali game. You get to pick the people, but you get these minions. There you go. Good luck. Like little things like that. Just like a lot of it is out of your control, and putting stats on that sometimes can feel a bit icky. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thought on that though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do things for fun. The stats. I think the stats are interesting. I'm kind of neutral to them. I know a lot of people did correct. Like, yeah. I don't know why they ever defaulted to them being public.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like without getting too much into thoughts about how things go, I feel like there's been multiple things that have been implemented that probably could have done with some public opinion first
Yeah.
to see how they would go. But yeah, I don't mind them for myself. I don't. They almost don't play, and I don't play enough for them to like really matter for me. The storytelling one's more interesting,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't have much else to expand on it. But if I look at my player stats, I should be probably pretty soon starting to do custom scripts and be used to the base scripts. That's how little I play, like in
Yeah,
storytelling.
sure.
I think it's like
I was like that
40
with
something games
storytelling
I've
for a
played.
long
It says
time.
or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is it. Like my experience is almost like the flip reverse for a long
Hmm.
time. I mean, I did player perspectives for a long time, only solely player perspectives, and then started dabbling in storyteller perspective last year. And that's where a lot of my storytelling experiences come from. It's come from stream. So what's great about stream is you can be like, "Hey, stream, what should we do with this? What do you think we should do?" And I think that interactivity element is so nice because it's not just like having
Yeah.
one storyteller. You have the masses behind you, and you can just run decisions by them, which I think is a lovely thing to do as well.
Yeah, it helps me sometimes. I don't, I won't say that I have a very large audience, so sometimes it just might be
But I also think
nobody.
you're more confident with it. I think you're more confident a storyteller than I am. So, like, yeah.
Oh, I guess it does help in that regard because because I don't, sometimes I have chat help. What I really need chat to help me with when they're around is savant info and amnesiac ability because
Oh,
that is my weak point.
tell
But
me about it. Tell me about it.
it's interesting because I'll be debating a mechanical decision and somebody on chat goes, I really think you should do this one thing, and I say, I think I want to do the other way. I think it'll work, and sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's but it does help to have that feedback when it's available anyway. But because I often don't have the feedback, you storytelling's you don't know how things are going to go always. You just have to make a
yeah,
decision. And yeah, it's important from a player perspective. It's important to remember that your storyteller is trying their best, and
absolutely.
not every decision's going to work out. I think back on games like, yeah, I would have done this differently if I if I could,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
And also, it's important, commenters. I'm talking to you now, commenters. Be kind to the players that you're watching if you're watching a storyteller perspective, and if you're watching a player perspective, because you have the benefit of the grim, uh, or you have
Yeah,
the benefit of one person's perspective, and you'll never know why this other person decided to do X, Y, or Z because that's the information that they had at the time. And so like we all like I always say there's no right or wrong way to play any character in this game as long as you're
exactly.
having fun and as long as everyone's having fun. If you're having fun and no one else is, maybe that's the wrong way to play it. I'll caveat it that way. But overall, like it's like everyone, as long as everyone's having a good time, there's no right or wrong way to play anything. Just like again, like I keep like one of the beautiful things that has happened in the past year for me is playing like going from player perspective to storyteller perspective and storytelling a lot more has almost like unlocked this like almost like an extra door in my house. Like I've opened this door and oh my god, where's this room come from? And this room is full of like conversations that I never got to see when I was a player, and like players talking to each other and acting in a different way, and these organic like conversations that chat then get to see and follow along with. Like I play with some people that have some ridiculous playstyles that just seem to work, and it's just so much fun watching them from a storyteller perspective, knowing the information that they have is limited and knowing what the information of the grim is, and just watching them solve or watching them have fun with other people in their conversations. It's just a beautiful thing, and being like storytelling for me has taken the focus for me away from me and then away onto the players, and I absolutely love it now. I think it's the like I do enjoy both, but I think I've enjoyed storytelling a lot more this past year.
And we're very fortunate that Clocktower is just the kind of game that is fun to spectate and watch how these stories play out, watch these conversations. I've jumped in conversations, I'm sure you have too, where they're talking about God knows what, and it's just like the most hilarious thing. Or you know the background interaction that's happening in the game, and they're confused, or one knows and the other doesn't, and they're asking questions based on info that you know, and yeah, it's so great to watch.
Especially with characters like the wizard now as well, where stuff can be absolutely bonkers, but pulling back the curtain for that for chat is so good, right? And watching wizard games can be so much fun, just from that perspective, from a storyteller perspective. And it's the same with so much stuff, like watching the summoner squirm and squeal because they're in a noble ping, and try and like going to them every night and just having that conversation with them. Like, oh, you've got 2 nights left, or you've got one night left. Who are you gonna pick? And all that stuff is such a wonderful thing to do. I think that's what sets watching Clock Tower apart from a lot of other games, because as a storyteller as well, especially, I mean, look, people watch player perspectives because they like to solve along with the player, and that's wonderful and that's great, and I think that could make you a better player of Clock Tower overall.
Yeah.
But watching storyteller perspectives is for me like some of the most fun like Clock Tower content that's out there.
And I have the opposite problem as to you, is where I should really be doing more players perspective games, because that changes things a lot too. When I remember the first time I was on the, well, not the first, I was on the TPI stream once, and it was the first time I drew the damsel token. And I looked
Mhm.
at that token, and I said, "Oh, well, that's how that feels."
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
this is gonna be a ride.
yeah,
But this is it, right? Because like doing player perspectives, people enjoy watching your interactions, and they want to see how you play the game. They want to
hmm,
like the reason I started making Clock Tower videos. I've mentioned this a couple of times before, but the only reason I actually started, I saw a Reddit post, and someone was like, "Oh, um, do any of these players have like their own YouTube channels?" And it was Karen, Benny, JC, and myself. And I think they would have watched us on the TPI channel, and they were just like, "Oh, I really want to watch like their player perspective." And so like from that, I was like, "Oh, I'll just make a video." And like, how hard can it be? Spoiler: it was very difficult. It's technology is not my strong suit. But then, like, from literally the only reason I even started making Clock Tower videos, and I've been lucky enough to have like JC come and stream on my channel, for example, as well as like loads of other people, loads of other fantastic people. So Sam, if you ever want to do a player perspective on a different channel,
I'll keep that in mind if I can find the time.
you've got your own channel, so like no pressure.
Yeah,
But if you ever want to,
it's unfortunate because I have opportunities to play on other streams. It's just unfortunately a matter of the time and the
yeah.
energy, half of it. Nina says she'll do it though.
Oh, nice. There you go. Easy. There we go. That's nice and easy. All right. I'll get one from each of you. One player perspective from each of you. We'll schedule it
There you
in.
go.
We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, it sounds like a good time to transition to our final question that I like to ask people. So, looking at this script here and the characters that are on it, which of these characters would you like to be in real life?
I mean, is it bad to say psychopath? No. No. Okay. Okay? The parameters of this question. Are we talking like I would have that ability, or are we living in the fictional world of Ravenswood Bluff and this is you know what I mean? Like, am I
Yeah.
providing this role to the
Well,
town?
I always like to purposely keep it vague. So you can interpret it however you wish to interpret it, whatever's most fun for you.
I mean, my favorite character on the script is the High Priestess. So I think I would probably be the High Priestess. I think you're almost like godlike, right? People revere you. People bring you gifts. People bring you fruit. People bring, I don't know, is that what they do as a high priestess?
I don't know.
High priestess.
I like
I
fruit
assume
though, so
that's how I would assume it. You said you're keeping it vague, so this is how I'm wishing. Maybe I should be the wizard. Maybe I'm a wizard in disguise as the high priestess. But I think the high priestess for me is like it's my favorite character in Clocktower because of the social aspect of it and
I
because of
do
the
like
way
it a
that,
lot.
yeah, it's just so much fun. It's like go speak to this person. Okay, I didn't need an excuse to, but now I will. So I would probably say high priestess. Although, like if I do scroll down, being an Al Hadiq would be a hell of a lot of fun as well, right? So,
As a quick aside, I always like to say that my favorite usage of High Priestess as a storyteller was a Legion game. And I heard a conversation on it during the day where two Legion were talking, and one Legion's like, "Yeah, I'm going to throw, or I'm going to throw so and so under the bus, or say I got a evil ping on them or whatever." And it was the High Priestess, so that Legion player is who I told the High Priestess to talk to the next day.
so why would I be told to come and speak to you? Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna throw you under the bus. Oh, fair enough. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
look, there's so much like this is I put this script together. This is like one of the only scripts that I've ever made, really. And I make like the scripts that I make for stream are typically made for one game only. Like there's a specific setup I have in mind, and it's like this is what I'm gonna do. With this one, it's got a little bit more traction. It's been played a couple more times because I think there's a little bit more versatility with it. But like this script was built around the idea of threes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
three village idiots, the Alzahir picking three players in a 12-player game. The what else? The Al Hadikia obviously picking three players. The Noble getting three
Noble, yeah.
names, things like that. So like I built it with that in mind, but it's also got some of my favorite characters in Clocktower in it, right? Because you've got to do
Yeah.
that if you're building a script like the Alsa here. I bloody love the Alsa here. I think it's such a an underrated role. Like that, the high priestess obviously not underrated, but that the high priestess, the banshee, having a banshee that procs, isn't that just the best feeling? Like even as a storyteller, seeing that happen, you just like a little bit of you just goes, that I did that. That's really nice. That's really nice that happened.
We
So
had
yeah, like this.
one of our stream games, a couple days ago. Nina was, I'm trying to even think what happened. Nina was the banshee. Were you executed, Nina? I can't remember. She Oh yeah. Okay, she was executed by Dave, who was a vizier that we talked about. So and it was an organ grinder game, so he didn't even know if it was going to go through, but he pushed it through. She dies. A professor resurrects her, and then I think the demon meant to poison kill her, but the poisoner poisoned somebody else, so she got executed, resurrected, and then banshee killed, or like demon killed, and she was the most excited I'd ever seen.
Beautiful. That's beautiful. Yeah, this is it. It's such a feels good moment, and it doesn't really like. if you're the demon and there's a banshee on script and you figure out who the banshee is, just kill him. Like they don't gain any more information. They just have more voting power. And like if you can poison that well, it's great. Like killing demon
Hmm.
banes. I had this discussion with my group recently. Actually, killing demon banes is such a fun thing to do. Killing just kill the Raven Keeper. Obviously, the worst that can happen is they'll pick you, but just kill them. It's kill them early. They've got loads of people
Yeah.
to pick from.
I was trying to
Kill the
tell my
farmer.
in-person group that because they're still like they've dabbled in like BMR and SMB, but still mostly doing Trouble Brain, and that's why I
Yeah,
tried to tell them after a game. I was like, demons are too afraid to kill Raven Keepers.
yeah. Like you can easily make worlds where the demon bane is a star pass or
Hmm.
is an evil player trying to poison the well. Kill a farmer. It's so much fun. Like as the Oho, like the famous the pat is it the Patters game where he just picks farmer every night as the
I think
Oho.
so.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's just so beautiful. Like people don't expect it. It confuses people because it's like, why would this happen? There's no reason why this should happen, and it's great fun. It's so much fun. Like we played a solo Oho script recently. And the demon, like we just discussed it. We were just like, let's just like whoever the demon is, kill the mayor. Keep picking the mayor, and I was just like, I'm just gonna keep bouncing it to random things, like random people. It's so much fun.
Well, it reminds me how some people think that Oho and Poppy Grower is a bad script combo because
No,
they're like,
that's
oh,
good.
Oho's just want to kill the Poppy Grower right away, and I said, well, yeah, sure, if they want to signal that it's an Oho game,
Yeah,
that's a possibility. Or they could just not because they know they're not going to accidentally kill their demon unless a ST does a weird like arbitrary kill, but they shouldn't really be doing that. So
yeah.
you're not going to accidentally kill your minion because you're going to be naming somebody else.
Yeah. Well, this is why I like the way that some people play, like Finn, for example, in my group, or Chiz, where the way they play the monk, for example. It's like I don't mind claiming monk early and trying to get targeted by the demon because oh milk, sorry, milk does this a lot as well. Milk does this a lot where it's like if I get targeted by the demon, then that means I'm dead, but all this other information is
Hmm.
alive, and like it's a great thing to do. This is why like I don't like it when oh look I think double claiming can be detrimental to town sometimes, but I don't like it when good players are like, oh, that person can't be the chef because I'm the chef, or that person can't be the fortune teller because I'm the fortune. Sorry, I should do more powerful characters. That person can't be the fortune teller. I'm the fortune teller. Or I've heard of fortune teller elsewhere. It's like, yeah, but they might just be bluffing it to cover for the fortune teller, and they might be the farmer, for example,
Right.
or they might be the banshee, or they might be trying to cover for a damsel. I also feel like this is not controversial, Sam, and I realize. Sorry, I'm dragging this on. I'm so
That's fine.
sorry, but with the damsel, I feel like it takes a village to protect the damsel. Like the whole town should be more cagey because if you get to a point where it's so obvious that the one person double claiming either a demon bluff or like the one confirmed player is not what they seem, then they're just gonna get guessed. And this is why, like, even like in the World Cup, I feel like there was a lot of fatigue with this, where a lot of damsel guesses happened because like people
Yeah.
were more focused on the gin rule and less focused on like trying to obfuscate information. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it takes a village sometimes.
Yeah, this is a great place to end it on this note because I'll say that I've actually talked about this very thing multiple times, and it's why,
Mm.
and I noticed it's actually here too, but it's why I'm kind of sad when huntsmans aren't on damsel scripts
Yeah,
because for me
yeah,
that's the job of a huntsman. In fact,
100%.
as you'll see when we do this grim reveal here in a few moments, my idea was to have the librarian see a damsel
Yeah,
and use the
yeah, yeah,
librarian
yeah.
as a pseudo huntsman for this specific setup.
Yeah. Well, this
Yeah,
is it. Like, I think like the reason there's no huntsman on this script is because there's a librarian. I think for
that's
this
good. Yeah,
script in particular as well, I kind of wanted like a little bit more jeopardy for the damsel, but also there's a psychopath that can probably kill them. With that being said, Sam, can I claim Minion and guest seat 7 as the damsel, please?
yeah, sure. There is no effect.
Oh, god damn it. Okay. Oh, that would have been a really nice place to end. We'll edit it back in. Can I claim? No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I think like having a player know that there is a damsel in play, and this is why like Huntsman seems like a really bad character, but the benefit of the Huntsman is you know there is a damsel, and like your job, I guess, is very much as well as the rest of town is to cover for that damsel and
Yeah.
make it look like you are the damsel.
My favorite example of this is uh Harold Holt's Revenge, Leviathan script. You know, so
Yeah.
no, not many deaths. Your damsel's probably going to be alive on that final day, and if it's obvious who it is, goods lost.
R.I.P. Yep, yep. This is it. This is
Yeah.
it. It's the same thing as the heretic, right? It's like with the heretic, like
Mm.
you wanna obfuscate that as much as possible as part of the good team. If you learn there's a heretic in play, you keep as stum as the heretic. You do not say a word because if the demon is a demon that can kill themselves, they're just gonna find out, and that's the end of the game. Unfortunately, we played a fantastic game with a heretic in at GLC where the fisherman advice hinted at there being a heretic. I was the general, and I realized there was a heretic in play. And it's like there were a couple of us that knew, and we ended up finding each other and trusting each other. And we were like, we need to make sure this evil team does not find out
Yeah.
because the demon could literally just kill themselves and win. And we ended up winning the game through a mastermind day, thankfully, like a mastermind day executing a good play, executed me actually. We executed me, and then the scapegoat prop. It was a whole thing. It was a beautiful thing. We did it on purpose because
Wow.
we knew. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it was wild. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I love General and Fishman both with Heretic scripts for those exact reasons. And I've had games play out almost the exact same way. Funny enough, I've had evil teams who are pretty strongly suspected a Heretic was in play, and then just kind of not, basically, for lack of a better word, don't have the balls to go through with it.
Yeah. This is it. I mean, it's scary, isn't it? Because you
Yeah,
don't want
yeah,
to be the sole reason for your team losing after they put in so much effort and so much hard work. You want to be able to guarantee there's a heretic in play
yeah,
before you do it. You don't really want to roll the dice because it can lead to definitely a feels bad moment. The heretic in general can lead to a feels bad game. I used to not like it for a long time because of that, because I was like, we've done everything we should have done to win this game and we've just lost. It's
yeah.
like, okay,
It's a good example of I think better metas and better script buildings helped it over time. It's a
100%,
character
100%.
that's very success whatever. Uh, it needs a good
Yeah,
script.
I know what you mean.
All right. We should go ahead and end it here. Before we go, is there anything else? Anything you'd like to plug?
I mean, come watch me on YouTube. Come watch me on Twitch. Arif at Arif underscore A underscore. The second underscore is absolutely paramount. Because the someone else apparently is Arif underscore A on these places.
Oh,
So Arif underscore A underscore, or just search for Clocktower with Arif or Arif Clocktower or something like that. You should be able to find me.
yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Sam, thank you very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. All right. Yeah, and then thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of Hard Claim.